On Saturday, we hit a record of 2.9 million vaccinations in one day in America. And beyond the numbers are the stories.
On Saturday, we set an all-time single-day record. Nearly 3 million Americans vaccinated, a pace seen nowhere else in the world. In terms of protecting the most vulnerable, our core duty as a nation. When we came into office, 8% of people over 65 were vaccinated. Today, 60% are vaccinated.
Okay, some lies there from the Biden administration on vaccine rollout. Even the mainstream media is starting to point this out. Pretty interesting stuff. AP Fact Check writing, for an administration that prides itself on talking straight about the pandemic, the self-congratulation Wednesday went too far. Biden wrongly claimed the U.S. vaccinated a record 2.9 million people on Saturday. The CDC reported 1.56 million doses were administered. Far from a one-day record. And also this, only 31% of people over the age of 64 are fully vaccinated. 61% have just received one dose at this point. And incredibly, Biden himself hasn't given any credit to Trump at all, when we all know that he's coasting on a lot of the Trump accomplishments on this virus and against this virus. Biden's senior advisor to the White House COVID team, Andy Slavitt, had this to say this morning.
And I think we're grateful for the work that came before us and are doing the best we can to continue it and accelerate it.
So you would tip your hat to Operation Warp Speed?
I would absolutely tip my hat.
Okay. There you go. Joining us now to talk about this, Brian Harrison, former Health and Human Services Chief of Staff, also oversaw Operation Warp Speed as well. Brian, thanks for coming on.
Oh, hey, great to be with you, Rob. Appreciate you having me.
Of course. Yeah. First off, want to get your thoughts on Andy Slavitt there finally giving some credit to the operation that you oversaw, Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah, I was actually pleased to see Andy do that. Have interacted with Andy some of the past, and Andy, like, basically every other member of the Obama COVID team, was full aware of not just the existence of the plan, but they knew the plan in great detail. I personally led the first transition briefing between the outgoing Trump administration and the incoming Biden administration. And Rob, I'll tell you what the topic was. The topic was Operation Warp Speed, and even further to the point, the topic was vaccine distribution planning. So they knew there was a plan. They'd been, quite frankly, executing on a plan. I've probably never seen a president or a vice president in American history simultaneously executing on a plan while denying its existence.
Biden's COVID team senior advisor giving the Trump administration credit. Biden has called this pandemic, though, himself, he's called it the mess we inherited, while setting meager goals on vaccine rollout that were actually already reached by Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not only did we leave them a plan, we left them a distribution system that was already vaccinated, had already vaccinated over 15 million Americans before he was even sworn in, and we were vaccinating around 1 million people a day. So basically the plan and the goal that Joe Biden set for himself was a plan that President Trump had already met.
Yeah. Biden claimed that he didn't receive...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but let me just cut in. He claimed that he didn't receive the vaccine, when Trump was in office, despite he got the first dose live on national television. We just showed you the video there. And here's what was written today in an ABC article. Right here, we can show it to you. It's true that many of Biden's public wins on the vaccine, this from ABC, including expanding supply and distributing doses to local pharmacies, are tied directly to efforts initiated by policy aides working under Trump before he left office. Like you were just saying, I feel like this looks very petty.
Oh, it's absolutely petty. And it's not even about getting credit. It's about not being dishonest. It's about being truthful with the American people and telling them the facts of the matter. As Americans, quite frankly, we should celebrate each other's success. I wish the Biden administration well. I'm very happy as an American who wants to defeat COVID, who wants to save lives, who wants to see Americans who want to get vaccinated. But they should level with the American people and say, you know what? We should celebrate as the new administration. We should give credit where credit's due. We should be honest with the American people, build upon the successes they had, as opposed to taking these continual cheap shots against President Trump. And, I will say this, that's really interesting for your viewers to know. Every milestone they hit, every new vaccination record, it takes about 100 days or so to manufacture every one of these vaccine doses. So every vaccine, including the 2 that went into President Biden's arms before he was inaugurated, every vaccine that's going into an arm of any American today actually was manufactured, or at least started its manufacturing, when President Trump was still the president of the United States, leading Operation Warp Speed. There's nothing good that we did, it seems like, that in the Trump administration that they will not take credit for. But every problem they still seem hell-bent on blaming President Trump for as well. I mean, the crisis of the border, that was a crisis created by Joe Biden and his administration, but they're blaming President Trump. They're even blaming the weather for it.
Yeah, it's all politics. I mean, and if anybody thought that Biden was going to come in and politics was going to go back to this beautiful sing-songy thing where it's like, we all know this is the game. It's a dirty game, and we all know it. Brian Harrison,
to be a uniter.
Health and
He's
Human
been
Services Chief of Staff.
Really disappointing.
Yeah, you're right about that. You are right about that. Thank you, Brian, so much. Good to talk to you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rob.